Very good. That's too bright, probably.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Blinded me temporarily.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Didn't mean to do that. Okay, so we got it now. All right. I think we got us. All right.
Both in frame? Cool.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. All right, man. Hey, Mark. How you doing?
Doing well.
Welcome back to Joshua Tree.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back in California.
So is this how many times have you been to Joshua Tree?
I would say I think this is my fourth time. I've been out to the festival Pantasia a couple times previously. This is one of my first times, like kind of as in an artist capacity. And I hadn't been back since I think 2019 was the last time, and it's really great to be back out here, and especially so remote in the park. It's really cool to see.
Nice, 2019. Okay, so you've been here for Pantasia. What's your biggest memory as far as a past performance that you've seen at Pantasia?
Gosh, I would say probably one of my favorite memories is hanging out with Adrian Portilla from Australia.
Oh, yes, of course.
He came out, and I believe it was 2017, maybe 2018, somewhere around there. And as you know, he is a phenomenal player, incredibly fast, incredibly technical.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think we were playing this Onaleo from Symphonic Steel. There was just a group of us that were just all captivated by this instrument, and I think we stayed up literally the entire night just passing around this handpan, jamming together. And I remember I finished that jam, got in a cab, headed to the airport. Not an ounce of sleep, but it was worth it.
That's really cool. Interesting. I thought, and I think I'm right about this, when you and I first ever met, it was at a Hamza hangout, or it was at a Hangout USA.
Yeah.
And Adrian was there as well.
He was. I think that was 2014, right?
I want to say yes. I have never actually looked, right? Because I'm like getting old now, I feel, but
Yeah, right.
that's 20 years ago. So
Yeah,
it's like,
right?
No, it's not. 10 years ago.
It's
So
11 years. 10, 11
10 years ago. So it's like, it's just like, I got to check. But I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I had a really interesting experience because we drive up, and I don't know how else to explain the story, but it was just a wild ride because there was like, I had Manuel and Capson, and Manuel.
Yes, I remember.
Capson did not drive. Manuel was full speed, pedal to the floor, ready for the Autobahn. So you're either, we let him drive for like 4 minutes, and the whole time, Capson was like, no, because he was just, I think he was scared we were going to crash.
Just want to get there alive.
Yeah. I don't know if he was a bad driver. I just think he was a very fast driver. Yeah. And so it was really just an interesting thing to like get there. And when we drive up there, Adrian opened up our door as the car is moving, and he's like reaching on Capson's lap, and Capson's like, what's going on? It was just this wild, and he looked at me, he's like, what is happening here? He thought he was getting like attacked. And it was just Adrian being funny. And it was probably a laugh afterwards.
Yeah, I remember that first event in particular was really a special one. There were so many big names there, so many people who are just dear friends of mine. Dante Bucci, rest in peace, he was there. And
that was when I met Dante,
speaking of Adrian, I had a very cool moment with him at that same festival as well. I had, as you know, only started playing back then, and I was a young kid. I think I was 19 or something at the time, and I remember it was one of the nights after the concert. It's probably midnight or something. I was sitting on this picnic table outside and just playing my little pan, my little Terrapan.
Right.
He came by just so casually and he was like, "Hey, like, was that a D Kerr?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, let me go grab a pan. We're gonna jam together." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, Adrian Portilla," and he didn't care that I had just been playing a day or 30 years. He just sat and wanted to make music with me, and it was such a special moment, and it's something that I try to maintain. I try to keep myself when I meet a new player and they're like, "Oh no, I can't play. I don't know what I'm doing."
Oh, right.
Nonsense. Of course you can.
That's tough, right? Yeah, of course you can.
Being able to bring them in, regardless of how long you've been playing, and he did that for me, and I'm just happy to try to do that to other people.
Right. Now that you're an experienced player, I think, and I just call it saying I've just played a lot of music, you kind of realize that if you can get someone there quick, because that's what you tell yourself, if you know, it's like, yes, of course, well yes, do it. You know, there's nothing stopping you from playing at Red Rocks. You know, you just have to like literally go, yeah, well, yeah, sure, you know, let's try that out.
Why not?
What's that look like? Why
Exactly.
not? And so to get that beaten out at a musician's early stage is really, really it's useful. That's really interesting. And that was a really, so that gathering, and I don't know if you knew, number one, I will say I knew that you were a talented kid though. You know, you were new to the handpan, and you're humble because when you're new to things, you know, no one has the experience of the people. So, and I'm the same way. And at that time, I was helping Christopher Ryan make Terrapans more than I was really playing them.
Yeah.
I just got the luck. I was lucky to be able to play them. And Capstone, when I learned that the Capstone thing, you know, that was what I got out of that. I was really just like a beginner, and that was like, so of course after that I was like, I'm a pro now. I might as well go race the Daytona 500. So you know, that was the whole thing. You know, I was really a novice, and anyway, but you were when you were in high school. You had already a history in percussion. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I had been playing when I first started my journey with the handpan. I'd been playing music. I'd been playing percussion for about a decade, I want to say, at that point, right around there. And you know, obviously, there's a lot that translates from other worlds of percussion, other worlds of music into the handpan, and you know, I was able to take a lot of that experience with me to the instrument. But what I really loved about that time, and it's a mindset that I still try to maintain here over a decade later is that, you know, there were no rules to how to play back then. There's no guides, there's no, you know, online courses, there's nothing. And everybody kind of came at it with these fresh eyes of their own background, their own experience. And, you know, I brought the experiences I had as a drum set player, as a classical percussionist, as, you know, all these things, these experiences I had in life, into, you know, my foundation on the instrument. And of course, you know, the resources are a lot more abundant these days in terms of how to get started playing. But, you know, I think I will still always maintain, as someone who is an educator, I think I'm a pretty good teacher.
I would agree.
I'll never be as good of a teacher as the handpan itself. The greatest teacher you have is the instrument, and if you can learn from it and listen to it, you know, you're gonna excel, you know, faster than anyone could take you. And you know, I had this background in percussion, and you know, being able to be vulnerable with the instrument and just experiment and make mistakes, I think was really core in kind of my upbringing on the handpan.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to explain it. I always told kids on the street, I'd be like, go ahead, try this, because I wanted them to make something sound beautiful, really easy. And it's easy to have a kid try. But then also, when people ask, I'd be like, it's a lot more like Simon Says and a lot less like learning the harp. You know what I mean? It'd be, well, that harp was a bad example, but I would say a lot less like learning classical guitar, because it is like, it's patterns more than anything. And every instrument kind of works with itself, and you learn the patterns. But I can fully agree with you. It was like it was also a whole different kind of level of thing, but something that you're being pretty humble about, that you realize some people who never really had timing. I'm lucky because I also played music very young and started playing guitar very young, so my timing was good, but your timing was impeccable, was impeccable. And your timing as a percussionist was impeccable. And so that's, like you're saying, there wasn't really many rules, but there was like Daniel Waples did it this way. And there was, and you were able to kind of jump right up into how those, and Daniel's really chill, and he never said he's this great handpan player. He just did the thing and did the thing on top of it. And he's like, I did it, I just did that, and that's what I did. And someone filmed it, but like, he's not claiming anything, but nonetheless, as a kid, even compared to myself, as a kind of more of a guitar player that had to be a hand percussionist, because that's how I led into me actually being in bands, and then getting a handpan. It was very similar in a sense, but not that, like, you know, I really had the ambition to play, but I didn't have the knowledge of the notes. I didn't have the knowledge of classical music.
Well, I think one of the most important things I try to remind myself of, and my students of, and people who I meet through the instrument, is that learning an instrument, learning the handpan, and learning music are two different things.
Totally different things.
Totally different things. And we can mature and grow as musicians, and it's a never-ending journey, you know, walking with music, learning from music, and that, you know, we can apply to any instrument, right?
Yeah,
You know, I've had some time playing other instruments that are very foreign to me, and you know, I might not have the technical ability, but when you have an understanding of music, it really kind of fast tracks you on learning that new language, if you will.
That's the gift, and you had that.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
when I saw you at a young age, I thought you had an understanding.
Well, thank you.
Like musical theories, call it, right?
Sure.
Because I knew how to do it on the guitar too,
Yeah.
pretty well, so I understood like, oh, this is what happens in C, and this is a musical theory. But it was still very rhythmatic. It was very rhythmatic in the sense. It was I was still very much a percussion guy. I just wanted to, and it turned into me doing open tunings and slappy stuff to be more of a. Anyway, that's one aspect. And then you talked about being a teacher, and I did note that's really true. I have not taken your courses, admittedly, but I have seen how you presented your courses and presented yourself online. And I think at this point I'm really on board saying anybody should be a content creator, because but you particularly in teaching, I like a lot of I like David Cookerman's courses. I like him as a person, and there's certain I've only spoke with him over the phone, but there's certain attributes he was going to come pre-COVID and the show got canceled. COVID happened. So we were going to do a show together in LA. So that's my only time I ever spoke with him. But anyway, or he was going to do a show. We were going to help facilitate for him. But you two have a similar. You're very likable people, and I hope that you do continue to teach, because people like my partner Petra, who did take David Cookerman's class, and we would be interested in taking yours. It really is very helpful. Number one, if you have a partner, you learn that it's very hard to teach. I'm not here to teach my partner and teach my, you know, the Sound Mind Garden is Petra and I. Right. She has done all of that herself with the crystal bowls, and that's her, and it's her own adventure, and she's done fantastic. She works hard at it, you know. So anyway, I appreciate what you have going. Why don't you tell us a little more about specifically how you work your lessons, and how, from what I grasped out of it, it really is from the beginning level. It's not intimidating, and it's from beginner, straight beginner, like the moment you get the handpan, all the way up until to being able to perform with somebody on stage in a certain key for a certain reason.
So the better part of the last 4 or 5 years for me has been just this labor of love that's building Planet Handpan, my new initiative. And that's the whole idea, is to create this online ecosystem of places where handpan players can connect. You can find high quality artists and instruments. You can find resources on everything around the instrument, learning what to look for in good instruments, you know, how to play, how to take care of your instruments. And our latest initiative in that is the Planet Handpan Academy, the online learning platform. And, you know, my greatest task with creating this was, how do I create a comprehensive way to get people started confidently on this instrument in a way that empowers them to create?
Right.
Our little tagline is learn, create, grow. And I feel like the ultimate form of creativity in music is expression. Is through writing your own music, through playing with other people, through improvisation. And my approach is to get students playing through playing, if that makes sense. I think the best way to...
how do you approach that?
Well, we've got a couple different things.
Kind of like play-alongs?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So we've got
because that's a whole nother level, too.
Of course. We've got 3 main pillars of the Academy, which is the Learning Lab, which is, of course, you know, master classes, because, you know, you gotta learn the basics of, you know, how to strike, you know, how the notes are laid out, and of course we have that. We've got the Rhythm Vault, which is just a massive library of different grooves and fills that you can learn from other players. And then the third thing is the Groove Engine, and that is our web application full of tracks and songs that you can use to practice and play along with. And we have all sorts of different packs, whether it's solo percussion, trap music, guitar, solo handpan, and we're going to continually expand this. So not only are we bringing in additional handpan teachers, but we're also bringing in additional people to the Groove Engine library. So not only
like
can you
kind of
producers and players. We have a course coming out with Prashant Naidu, amazing player, and not only do you have the experience of learning how to compose from him through his Learning Lab course, but you can actually play music with Prashant in the Groove Engine.
Right.
He'll be jamming on Dolak, and he's got some electronic material from one of his EPs that we're doing. And as if that wasn't cool enough, in the web application, it's fully transposable. So any key of instrument you have, you can change any key. And if it's too fast, you can slow it down. If it's too slow, you can speed it up, turn on or off the metronome. Really just our goal is to create the ultimate tool to get people creating, get people playing. And like I said before, I think that's where the ultimate learning happens, is not for me, drilling exercises with somebody.
Right.
It's with them, empowering them to discover their own music.
Right. Well, I mean, and you nailed a lot there. Well, not only the way to teach us through creativity, I think that's 100% accurate with the handpan, because also the certain people drawn to the handpan kind of don't want to like try so hard, and just doing it. And then you brought up something that is even with Petra that would be very useful, is being able to play with something in key with your instrument that actually you can have the opportunity of playing with other people. Fortunately, I'm like in bands, and her and I can jam a little bit, and so that got her into playing with other people, and now she's really gotten good at the point where she can play in time. This is her like coming not from being a percussionist in high school that got to travel and like, or not be. I was in a Dave Matthews band listening to that and playing guitar, and as 13, 14 years old. It's like this is the only reason I say this because Carter Buford and Dave Matthews like a very kind of like a complicated bit of rhythm. You know what I mean?
Of course.
To be thinking about on a day to day, and so it's just like not everybody's like that. I'm really interested, and I mean it, that the Sound Mind Garden would be interested in trying out that, because Petra, I do believe Petra wants to run with the handpan, and she doesn't know this yet, but Stephen Morris has offered to make her a handpan in C as a gift, and that's really kind of him, and it goes way back. Where he's such a kind person, but it goes like we've had a long history, and he's like, because you're helping, but and I'll help you guys do anything he wants to do here, or anybody in the community. We can play here. It's like anyway, he's really being kind, and that's going to really change her game. But I really think that there's like she's in that stage, man, not like where creativity matters, because with a baby, with Marley, not a baby, with our toddler, with Marley and stuff, when she has that moment, she wants to turn something on and go. And the David Cookerman stuff has gotten too complicated for her, but she can't play along with it. It's in D, unfortunately.
And that's the thing, is that, I mean, we use the Groove Engine as well. It integrates with all of the exercises in the Learning Lab. So if I'm teaching something in a course, which I am teaching on D chord, very common scale, but you've got an F sharp. You can just transpose it up, find the exercise, speed it up, slow it down, all in loop format, so it just continually goes. It's just, I think one of the big goals with this platform was creating tools that people can use endlessly in their handpan journey, rather than, you take a master class, you learn the exercises, you learn the song, you're done. Rather than doing something like that, we wanted to create these mechanisms that people can use and to accompany them on their journey as they grow through the instrument. And what I'm so happy about is that we're recording this, in early April. We've been launched for about 2 months now, and I could not be happier to be on the other side of this, because now that the the platform's built, it's out there in the real world, I can just continually update it. We're going to add new courses, new features, new collaborators.
It can grow.
And for me, it's really amazing to see, it's had a great reception, and to see the excitement around it. But more than that, I just personally, as a player, want to see it grow. There's players who I want to bring in. I want to learn from them. So it's this weird double role of, I'm the founder, but at the same time, like, man, I'm still just a giddy handpan player who wants to learn Prashant's grooves, or any other players.
Well, we'll segue out in that way, but I totally get that. I honestly won't consider myself a handpan player again, because everybody has just kept playing, and I build houses. You know what I mean? I'm trying to build cars. I hope I do okay at that. But I do like playing them. But I will say though that where you're going now, and this is kind of the same with like the way you were using. I don't know if it was Ableton, but you're using your computer and maybe the loop station. I don't think you looped. Did you live loop in your set?
I didn't do any live looping, but it was kind of like pre-programmed.
It was like a trigger that was activated by pretty much
yeah.
That is so like like that's a whole nother level of thing for performance, because so let's talk about that a little bit, because
of course,
in my small opinion, as a guy on the outside, if let's say I have a handpan friend, I have a band, everybody wants to play together, I want that handpan to be loud enough on stage with the Grateful Dead cover band, okay?
Yeah, right.
That stage is so loud. I've had instruments on stage with an acid rock band, and they're just going, whoa. The instrument is just making its own. You need magnets on every note you're not playing,
right.
and it was hard to amplify. So, like, getting through all that is really triggers and all of that. It kind of really helps the scenario a lot.
So, I mean, that's something that I'm continually experimenting with. I'm still, discovering my sound as an artist. Lately, I've been moving a little bit more into an electronic direction, which, I've always had a special spot in my heart for electronic music and music production, and incorporating the handpan into that realm, I think, has huge possibilities.
Oh, potentially, for sure.
And, doing this in a live format is a whole nother thing. You can be in the studio producing music, and, you can just turn the gain up on your handpan track and you're good to go. But creating a fluid and integrated live set with acoustic instruments is really a balancing act. And to be honest, it's something I'm still figuring out, but I couldn't be more excited to continue to dive into that. And like I said before, now that Planet Handpan is out there, I have a little bit more time, and it's been exciting the last couple of weeks to kind of dive back into Mark as a player, as a writer.
I get that. And we use the loop station, the 505, and I have a history of that when I used to play music out in bars and do that kind of stuff. I played acoustic guitar, and I would loop myself and then just play and solo over top my looping. It helps you out a lot. And rhythms being programmed. Mine only had 2 pedals now, and it was the square pedals. Now, the ones you get now are so smart. The loop station, the 505 that we have, MC 505, that it can kind of pull everything into time for you.
Oh, yeah.
And make it like, it's almost like a little Ableton. I see Ableton as the top of that market.
Yeah.
All of that is stuff I have no idea what to do, and I don't think we're gonna do. Like, we're kind of okay with what we got going on.
Of course.
It's enough with what we do.
I feel just as fascinated by Ableton as I do handpans most days.
I couldn't even buy it because I'm just like, you know what? I can't even read the book. I couldn't even watch the video without going,
endlessly you can dive into it, and there's a lot.
Right. Okay, so and then I guess there's one more topic that I think it'd be fun to talk about.
Of course.
So I think about like the past and a little bit of what went on in the past, like as far as like the handpan world. And I've had this kind of like, I don't know, I'm not a journalist, but then I got a camera, and then like I'm doing the car thing, so now we're also doing the Sound Mind Garden's going to have a lot of different people we're going to be speaking with, and so it comes down to what is the story. In my brain I start thinking, what is the story of the handpan? And I think, wow, the early years. And like, so I think it's always good when someone who was around during the early time to kind of paint a picture, because like the stories that everybody talks honestly have not changed, and they've all had some validity, but it's kind of wild because in the past, the reason I'm bringing this up is my story is Christopher Ryan, Terratones, they gave me an instrument. I went and I was invited by Max to go to Brunswick, Georgia, Hostel in the Forest for a gathering. Car broke down. Christopher Ryan invited me to his house. He said, well, here, why don't you take this instrument when you go? I was like, oh my God. And I actually told a member of my band that I was going to move to Boulder, Colorado, and someone was going to let me play one of those instruments. When I told him that, when he showed me Daniel Wapel's video, he's like, there's no way. You're never going to get your hands on one. They're not coming to America. This was back in those days. Yeah. I would say 500 instruments to 1,000 were in America at that point. And so for Christopher Ryan to really actually like give me one to take, and then John bought it from me. John,
I remember.
He bought it, like, because he was.
I remember playing that pan actually.
I let everybody play it because you're like, can I play? I'm like, sure. I don't know. It's not even mine. This dude gave it to me here. And so, I mean, it's just like and so anyway, for the Sound Mind Garden's sake, it's really nice to talk with people a little bit about the past. Not even in a negative way, but let's be clear. At that point, it was almost illegal to make handpans.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was very, very few builders out there, and I mean, sonically, that's one of the things that's changed the most about these new gatherings.
That's what's so good.
Of course, you walk around and seeing like a low F, like an F2, is just like commonplace. Yeah. Like, another low pygmy. Back in the days, it was SPBs, it was Halos, Hongs, few other small builders.
That's it.
There. Yeah. That was it.
You're waiting 2 or 3 years.
Exactly, and those. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's, oh, back in my day, back in the old days, But there was something special about those events, and that, those of us who were there had these almost magical experiences that just brought us, drew us to this thing. And everybody, we talk about that first Hangout USA event. Cabasau was there all the way from Portugal. Adrian and Jeremy all the way from Australia. David Kay from Germany. All these people from all around the world.
Sam Archer.
She was there. Was she there? I think she was there as well. Yeah.
I did. That's where I met Sam.
That's right. Oh my goodness. Was Yaron there as well?
No,
I don't think he was there.
No,
Samantha was there. And it was this almost this pilgrimage of people who were just called, by this instrument, like just drawn to this thing. And what excites me is that energy, I believe, is still here to this day.
Oh, it's gotten better.
It's gotten even better. And what's amazing is that instruments are, of course, way more accessible, way more available and commonplace. But you come to an event like this, and that light in the eyes, that excitement, those serendipitous encounters, those crazy stories, it's still here. And it makes you think, maybe something else is going on here. What really is all of this? And it's the magic of the handpan. And I know all of us who play and who have been involved with this instrument not only are touched by the instrument itself, but we all have those stories and those moments, and I think that's where the real magic is.
So I think that's a good way to explain it. I'm glad, because from somebody who got involved in making them, I have a totally different story. But it's not like I want to sit here and go like, oh, boo-boo, because it was a great story. I loved everything I got to do. But like I can tell you parts of that story that I am so proud and glad happened. But did you know it actually works to keep going? And handpan hasn't been exposed in the way it could yet.
Oh yeah,
you know
I mean, and
in
like,
my opinion,
I'm just hanging on for the ride. You know, it's already been a wild one, and who knows what the future is going to hold. But I would be lying to say I'm not excited to see it.
Right.
So.
All right, good talking with you, man. And we're glad you're here in Joshua Tree. Come back anytime.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I hope it's not too long, man.
Yeah, take care, man. Good to see you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Whew. Oh man, I'm